Hello everyone, my name is Matthew Silpot and welcome to the channel where we do music education and everything surrounding music. Today we're going to be doing a lesson on music theory, and we're going to be talking about signs and symbols as you know them to be. Some people call them notation, but we'll be looking at that as a lesson today. And I'm dubbing this presentation Music Magic because there's magic in music. Whatever we're doing, we're creating spontaneous things, we're creating things that make people happy. And a lot of people stay away from notation because they think it's math, but it is math integrated in music. Music has all the content areas involved. So, before we get going, I want you to clear your spaces, get in your space because we're going to do a little activity and we're going to use what we call body percussion. And if you understand extra music stimulants, do you know what extra music stimulants are? So, extra music stimulants are those things that are non-music, are non-musical, that we use to accompany music. So, like parts of our bodies we use, so our hand or fingers rubbing things together, those are not technically instruments, but we use those to combine to create instruments, instrumentation, or to create music with it. So anything like that we're calling extra music stimulant. So the first thing, so to clear your space, and the two parts of our bodies we're going to be using, we're going to use our hands to clap, and we're going to be using our feet to stomp. So we have clap, stomp, clap, stomp. So I'm going to ask you if you can read what's on your screen, and are you able to do what's on your screen? Now in music we involve all the elements, so we're going to look at our rhythm, and we're going to use that pulse, right? So if you notice the track, we have a beat. There's a steady 4 pattern, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, steady. So we're going to go this route together. Here we go, let's go. How many persons made it to the end? Be honest. If you couldn't distinguish your clapping from your stomping, we have to go advance now. So here's the other round. So when we get to the end of this time, we're going to go in reverse order, right? So from my top, here we go, and go. How many people made it? Did we make it? Did we make it? If we did not make it, we're going to do it one more time, but this time we're going to call out the things that we're doing. Ready? So we'll call out the things that we're doing. So we're calling clap, we're calling stomp. Here we go. And clap, stomp, clap, stomp, clap, stomp, 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 clap, stomp, stomp, clap, 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 stomp, clap, 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 stomp, stomp, clap, 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 stomp, clap, 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 stomp, stomp, clap, stomp, 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 clap, stomp, clap, stomp, clap. Hope you make it, because I'm tired now. And that's one way, if you look at this carefully, we could say that we have read music. We have read a piece of music. And this perhaps could be termed unconventional notation. Because we're looking at symbols, we're looking at instructions given, and it involves performance or following those directions. And a lot of times when we talk about reading music or looking at theory, a lot of people think immediately to notation and how it is on a score. But we can create unconventional notation and still be able to read music or create music within a setting. So that is unconventional. And we notice we were using, if we go a step further, how many beats each some symbol was getting. And we could say one. So clap was getting one, stomp was getting one, and that was the pattern. Clap, stomp. So if it's in the 4 bar structure, meat, 4 beat structure, sorry, it will be clap, stomp, clap, stomp, clap, stomp, 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 clap, stomp, stomp, clap, 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 stomp, clap, 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 stomp. And we'd have that. So that's a good warm-up thing for you. So how notation came about and started, really? We have some things that we call modes in music. And modes were originally scales that were derived within a diatonic setting, where each letter, name of the musical alphabet, had its own scale based on the white keys. And when we talk about the piano or the keyboard, we can talk about some features of it. We could say there are white keys and black keys, and the black keys are in groups of 2s and 3s. But the white keys, based on that particular period of music, there's a thing called Gregorian chant, where liturgy was sung, not spoken. So each key, each 7 letter, had its own mode. And the thing that distinguished the modes were where the semitones fall. So if you look within the white key structure, actually let's start from the alphabets. So we use the first 7 letters of alphabets in music, A to G. And wherever you start, once you get to the letter again, it starts over. For example, you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. B, D, F, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And the cycle starts all over again. Right? So there were 7 modes, right? So the first one was Ionian, which started on C. And if we should characterize what the mode sounded like, it would be C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now I will ask, where do you think the semitones are, or where are the semitones here? If we're looking at the keyboard, C to D is a tone, D to E is a tone, E to F is a semitone, F to G is a tone, A to B is a tone, B to C is another semitone. So if you look at this carefully, the semitones are falling between the 3rd degree of the scale and the 4th degree. And then we have a semitone between the 7th degree and the 8th degree again. And that is always synonymous to the major scale. So we use Ionian, what we call a major scale. That is the mode. Then we have the Dorian mode that starts on letter D. The Dorian mode sounds a little bit jazzy or bluesy according to this. Let me see if I can get the mode up. Okay, so the Dorian is slightly jazzy or bluesy with a minor feel, but with a raised 6th. So we're starting on D, we're going to E, F, G, A, B, C, and D. Now where are the semitones? The semitones are between 2 and 3, and then 6 and 7. So this is the semitones. Then we have Phrygian that starts on E. Characteristic, it may be dark and exotic, often used in flamenco and metal music. So the notes would be E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. Where the semitones are, we have between 1 and 2, and then 5 and 6. Then we have Lydian, which starts on F. The characteristic is dreamy and ethereal due to the raised 4th of it. So we have F, G, A, B, C, D, E, and then F. So our semitones are going to be between 4 and 5, and then 7 and 8. Mixolydian is the next mode, which sounds bluesy and rock-like, similar to a major scale, but with a flat seventh. So we have G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Where are the semitones? So if you said 3 and 4, and then 6 and 7, that will be correct where the semitones are. And then we have our Aeolian, which is melancholic and sad, and that is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. And the Aeolian mode is likened to the natural minor scale as we know and use regularly today, same as the Ionian. So we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, and our semitones are going to be between 2 and 3, and then 5 and 6. And lastly, our Locrian mode, which starts on B, B natural. All of these are the natural keys, by the way. And those would be B, D, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And the characteristic feature of the Locrian mode would be dissonance and unstableness. And there's a diminished fifth in that scale, that feel of it. So we have B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. So our semitones are going to be between 1 and 2, and then 5 and 6. 4 and 5, sorry. So those are our modes. So first we start with C major, or the Ionian mode. So it sounds like this. So we know where the semitones are. Dorian mode. This is slightly jazzy, slightly bluesy. And then Phrygian, which is on E. Little dreamy. Lydian, a little dreamy. Mixolydian, bluesy like. And again. And our Aeolian. One more time. And Locrian. And those are our modes. So that set the precedence for scales. And we know that anything that we play in terms of pieces, they're made up of scales. A lot of modes are used for improvisations. And of course, all of these modes are transposable. So in other words, I could say, can you give me an Ionian mode starting on C sharp? And what will those notes be? Those notes would be C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, C sharp. And I could say, give me an Aeolian mode starting on B. So the key is to know where the semitones would be. So we would have B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B. Why we have C sharp and F sharp? Because in the Aeolian mode, 1 to 2 is supposed to be a tone, so we have B to C would be a semitone. We need a tone. That would be a C sharp, and then we have 2 to 3 semitone. So we have C sharp to D, and then we have 3 to 4, right? So we have, then E to F sharp, that would be your 5, right? That's your 5 to 6. Not E, not F natural because we need a tone. And then we go to G, which is another semitone. Then we have A, B. Right, so this would be the scale. In the natural state, Aeolian is this. Transposed to B. And we can do that with all of them. So once we understand where the semitones fall, and previous knowledge you would understand that each degree of the scale has a name. So you have tonic, supertonic, median, subdominant, dominant, all leading tone, and all of those, right? Submedian, leading tone, and then the tonic again. So also, and then so that led us to notation as we know it to be, these symbols. So we have whole notes, right? A whole note values how much? I hope you know. Then we have half notes, right? And these are English names, by the way. So we have 2 equal parts. Then we have quarter notes, which is each note getting 1 beat. And usually we're using the whole note as the reference, so that if a whole note value is 4, think about a pizza. If we keep dividing equally, then we get equal parts. So if we divide the pizza in 2, which is the whole note, we divide it in 2, we get 2 half notes, right? And if we divide those evenly again, we get 4 equal parts. And if we divide those again, we get 8 equal parts, like a party slice. And if you notice, if you see these notes, they look the same, what we call the note head, the stem, and the flag or the tail. If you see them, then just beam them together once they're in same vicinity. Right? So we'll stop at that one because we do have 16 notes and we do have 30-second notes, but we won't do those. So put that together. We have a whole note, we have half notes, we have the quarter notes, and we have the eighth notes. So let's clap these together in terms of beats. So we have our click track running there. So we clap in each one as they are. Each one getting filling the bar of 4 beats. Let's go. 1, 2, let's stop. Whole notes. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Half notes, clap them. 1, 2, 1, 2. Quarter notes. Eighth notes. Notice as they get less, the notes are shorter, we still give them even. They're still even. So with the beats in the guiding, you still keep them even. Let's go. Whole note again. Half notes. Quarter. Eighth notes. Right? And we have those. So remember though, anywhere you see any makeup of these, and we could do any combination of these notation, once you know the beat value, you should be okay. So if you see a whole note, you know there's 4 beats. If you see a half note, 1 half note value is 2. If you see a quarter note, what done value is 1. And if you see eighth notes, one of them values a half. Alright? Good. So now, each of the music is not all about sound. Music is made up of sound and silence. So each one of these notes has a represented symbol, a symbol that represents silence. So in the case of our whole note rest looks like this. So a lot of people say it's an upside down hat and the value of it is 4 beats. So if we see this sign or this symbol, we should know that we're supposed to be quiet for 4 counts. If it's the half rest one, that actually looks like a hat, then we are going to be resting for 2 beats. If it's the quarter beat, which is, it looks like a Z and a C, or a Z and a C, or a squiggly squiggly, and that value is 1 beat, that's the quarter note rest, or the crotchet rest. And then we have the eighth rest that looks like a 7 slightly. You see that flag on the stem? That's half beat, and there's a 16th note rest. That looks like that. I'm sure you perhaps will be familiar with these, but we're just reiterating to understand the symbols that represent those notes. And of course, whole note, half note, quarter note, eighth note, 16th note, those are English names. We have the Western, the European names, which you call semi-breve, which is a whole note. You have a minim, that is the half note, a crotchet, which is a quarter note, a quaver, which is your eighth note, and a semi-quaver, that's your 16th. All right. Another way to look at that, if we're talking about utterance patterns, because a lot of times we can't remember the names, we may put on utterances on this for memory. So here are some options. So we say Big Daddy, calling that the whole note, just 4 beats, great big giant feet. Of course, if you're working with kids, might be understanding a little bit better from that perspective. And if you're using ta to represent the whole note, to get the beats. And when we're clapping, notice on our clapping, we just do, the sound doesn't stay. So we do something with our hands to get the sound is still active. So it will be ta, right? So we have 4 beats there. When we have notes, we have ta, ta. Think about walks quite slowly. Ta, ta. Big brother quarter note, march like a soldier. Ta, 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 ta. So we're using ta, 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 ta. And then we have our little twins, which are eighth notes, little tiny steps, run along behind. Ti, 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 ti. Ti, 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 ti. So we have ta, 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 ta. Ti, 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 ti. All right? Cool. Here's another combination for you. So this is what we'd call a rhythmic piece or rhythmic notation. If you notice, there are 4 different instruments there, and each of them is assigned its own rhythmic notation or lines. So we'll go through them one by one. I can't play them all of them together because I'm only one smaddy. If we had other instruments in the room, we perhaps could work it out that way. But if you notice, what are the ones on the top? What's the instrument there? And if you say like maracas or shakers, you're correct. And if you notice, there are 2 numbers there that represent the beats within that bar. So we have what we call a time signature, where it contains 2 numbers. We know this. The top number represents the amount of beats per bar, and the bottom note gets, the bottom number, sorry, the note that is getting 1 beat. So this would read that there are 4 beats per bar using crotchet to 1 beat, or quarter notes to 1 beat. So how would we clap the rhythm for the top one? So if we're using that 4 beat structure, 1, 2, 3, go. And if we actually have maracas, we can do that. There's also something to note. Notice there's there's line that separates two sets of groupings, and then we have a double bar line which signifies the music is ending, but there's also two dots that suggest a repeat. So this rhythm will be repeated. Let's look at the second instrument. Notice we have a new type of thingy happening, and this is what we call a gyro, or some people you can identify with a grater. Notice we have 1/4 note, 2/8 notes, a quarter note, then 2/8 notes again. And the thing that's on the top, it's not a flag, it's just saying how to play it. So it will be like based on how the instrumentation is. I'm sorry I don't have one. So it's right? That continues. So we have right? Ta ti ti ta ti ti ta ti ti ta ti ti. And then we have our third thing, that we call those rhythm sticks or claves. Notice we have a dotted note and we have a tied note. So our dot extends the note half the value, and the tied note ties two of the same pitch together. Right? If we're doing melodic notation, the notes would have to be the same. Rhythmic, you just have that. And notice we also have a rest in there. So if we're clapping this, the 4-beat structure, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And that will be your rhythm. And our last instrument, notice we have the same notes as the first line, the first instrument, but notice the notes here, some of the notes that look different in placement. So these notes represent tonal areas of the drum. So this is a conga or any drum. So the top note would be higher tones, the bottom one would be lower tones. And we know the areas of the drum. So you have open tone, closed tone, bass, tip, and so on and so forth. So in this case, you have the same rhythm, so it's same t t t t t t t t t t t t, right? So for example, it would be and we have that notation. So we have t t t t t t t t t t t t t t t t t t t. So we can replace these with instruments with other notation, other instruments to represent the sound as well. And here's a little activity for you. So I've shared this chart before in another lesson. Well, you see an organization of all of these notations here. And this rhythm is represented on the chart. So we could say we're using these numbers as bar lines for a composition. We could be using it as a lot of instruments. So we could look at this as 3 sets of instruments with different rhythms. So because the 1 to 3 is represented in one instrument, 4 to 6 is representing another, and 7 to 9 is representing another, and so forth. So we could use all of that. So in terms of the timing of music, now there are 3 types of times that we use, or beats. So music can be in duple time, which is representing 2, can be in triple time, which is representing 3, and it also can be in quadruple time, which represents 4. Now, there's also simple and compound. So simple means that each note is easily divided by 2, And compound means that each note represents three things. So for example, a simple duple would sound like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. A compound duple would sound like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you find that each another beat is divided into three, right? So you have 6 notes compared to 2. It still will be conducted in 2. And then we have triple, which is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Quadruple, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And notice the heavy accent would be on your downbeat. So for duple it would be triple, quadruple, and so on and so forth. So there are some songs that you can use to identify a meter or beat. So duple could be Twinkle, Twinkle Little Star. Triple be anything that feels like a waltz. Amazing Grace, quadruple. Most of the popular stuff that we listen to are in 4, so we can easily tie that out. Beat that out rather. So those are some notation things to guide you. Always come back to your counting. Use your numbers. This is where math and music are really best friends, because we rely on counting in terms of scale, in terms of grouping of notes, in terms of beats, in terms of rhythmic notation. All of that is in counting. So I hope this lesson was of use to you, or some maybe a refresher. So see you next time with some more complicated things in terms of notation. And you can do some on your own. So all the best with your studies if you're studying now, all the best with your composition if you're composing now, or all the best with your appreciation of music if that's what you're doing right now. So see you next time. Remember to drop some comments, drop a share, drop a like. If you're not subscribed yet, what you waiting on? See you next time.